What the Alberta government is doing is not a book ban, it's a porn ban, and I'm here to help you learn the difference. Now, this video is not for my regular viewers. You are well informed, you already know what's going on here. This video is for you to share with people who have binged too much CBC and Global News and fell for the book ban fairy tale, including acclaimed Canadian author Margaret Atwood, who apparently fell for this lie, hook, line, and sinker, and decided to pen an op-ed based on teacher union talking points. And when I say talking points, what I really mean is lies. Atwood claimed Alberta Premier Daniel Smith banned her book, The Handmaid's Tale. Of course, Premier Smith didn't. Edmonton Public Schools pulled it in a spite purge when the province clarified the rule to keep images of graphic sex acts out of school libraries. The government didn't ban classic literature. And of course, we all know it's not censorship to keep pornographic erotica out of the hands of little kids. Every non-pervert knows that, but you know what? There are a lot of perverts out there, it would seem, and they are being helped along by their enablers, the media liars. So I guess this whole thing needs explaining again. Alberta's government took the most reasonable step imaginable back in May. They announced a policy to keep graphic sexual content, some of it too obscene to show to adults, in a press conference out of school libraries meant for children.
Sheila Gunn Reid with Rebel News. Minister, these materials aren't appropriate for TV or a live stream, but will a published list of these books be made available so that people can see for themselves what is now being eliminated from school libraries?
In the public survey that we will be providing to Albertans, we will have a link into that survey for individuals to see some of the suggestible content that we're referring to. Because, of course, it's so hard to put all of this into context without providing some examples of what we're actually referring to. So there will be some links available through the survey where an individual, if they so desire, can have a look at the material that is causing concern.
Follow up, Sheila?
Yes. Is the Alberta government prepared to go to court to defend this policy if activists or civil liberties groups try to sue?
Well, I wouldn't want to jump too far ahead of myself. I would have to explore if something like that happens, what the merits of that are, and determine next steps from there. So I couldn't give you a detailed answer, unfortunately, at this point in something that may occur. But we do firmly believe that children in our schools should not have access to books that contain graphic depictions of sexual acts.
So here's what actually happened, aka what the media is getting wrong on purpose or otherwise. The education minister issues a simple standard. Remove materials with illustrated sex acts from school libraries. Not Shakespeare, not Orwell, not Margaret Atwood. Visual sex acts out before the beginning of the next school year, please.
Just circling back on the books that were released by Edmonton Public School yesterday, it wasn't released by them, but it came out. We understand your objections to certain graphic content in certain books, but this includes, obviously, Margaret Atwood, Brave New World, Maya Angelou. Do you have issue with the books that are on this list, and what next steps are you looking to take?
Look, I think I'm going to have to show the screen here, because people aren't kind of getting what it is we're trying to do here. We are trying to take graphic pornographic images out of elementary schools so that kids are not exposed to age-inappropriate material. So I'm going to leave it on for 15 seconds. I'm warning you that the content may be disturbing and it's not appropriate for young users. Viewer discretion is advised. I know that the cameras probably can't print it on the evening news tonight without probably facing some kind of Broadcast Standards Council complaint.
On the very same day, because of all the lies, the minister's office is forced to send clarifications and line-by-line corrections to reporters, because the reporters were saying that puberty, menstruation, and breastfeeding content was restricted. Of course, it wasn't. The focus was on illustrated sex acts. The media had the documents, so did I. We all had them early, and yet the mainstream media ran those lies anyway. Then Edmonton Public School Board detonates a despicable stunt. Instead of following the obvious intent of the directive, The public school board yanks 200 plus titles, including 1984, talk about Orwellian, The Handmaid's Tale, and I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Now, they knew those books weren't targeted. They did it anyway to manufacture book ban headlines.
Hi, my name is Sarah. Today, for the first time in my career, I carried out 400 personally funded books out of my classroom. I'll be teaching without books for the first time in over 20 years due to the UCP's censorship. Our school library is now closed until further notice.
One thing I would invite every one of you to do is to go online and look at the graphic images that we are taking out of elementary schools. I wouldn't be able to, no, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be able to hold up an image, because we're broadcasting this, I wouldn't be able to hold up an image without a warning of graphic image of pornographic materials, including detailed sex acts, because it would offend our audience. And if our audience, adult audience, would be offended by that, a 7-year-old shouldn't be watching that. So I'm glad that...
So there was a pause and rewrite after the Edmonton Public School Board stunt and media hysteria and what the Premier called vicious compliance and playing games. The province paused the implementation to make sure the law is so clear that even the dumbest educator and the creepiest sex activist can understand it.
That parents were showing us that were accessible to children in elementary school libraries. And so we asked school boards to use their discretion to identify books that might not be age appropriate for elementary school children. And then and Edmonton Public is clearly doing a little vicious compliance over what the direction is. And so if they need us to hold their hand through the process to identify what kind of materials are appropriate for senior high school students, what kind of materials are appropriate for junior high school students, and what kind of materials are appropriate for elementary school students, we will more than happily work with them to work through their list one by one so we can be super clear about what it is we're trying to do.
Translation: Alberta didn't ban the classics. Alberta banned garbage, smut, and the teachers and the media are lying to you. Don't believe me? See for yourself. Viewer discretion advised.
Alberta's education minister now outing some schools where, quote, sexually explicit graphic novels were found. Dimitrios Nicolaides' list includes Victoria School of the Arts in central Edmonton. The government says Fun Home, which we've blurred because of nude drawings, was found in the library here by concerned parents.
So porn is out. Any book with illustrated sex acts is removed. The classics are safe. Mature themes in text stay on the shelves. Parents receive transparency. Schools have to publish library and classroom lists and notify families, just as I requested during the initial May press conference. And there's age guidance, K-9, no explicit or non-explicit sexual content. Puberty, menstruation, pregnancy, breastfeeding, hand-holding, hugging, kissing, all allowed, despite what the media initially reported. And grades 10 to 12 allows for non-explicit sexual content. It may be accessible if developmentally appropriate. Explicit images, thankfully, still banned. So here are my Mythbusters, my Coles Notes version on this for your headline-only cousin. Myth 1, they banned puberty and menstruation books. Nope. The order explicitly says puberty, menstruation, breastfeeding, hand-holding, hugging, kissing, all not restricted. Myth 2, they banned LGBTQ books. No, the rule is viewpoint neutral. If it shows illustrated sex acts, it's out, regardless of theme or identity. Myth 3, this is censorship. Curating a public school library so graphic images of sex aren't in K-12 stacks is called protection, not censorship. Written classics remain. Myth 4, Alberta banned the classics. The only people who banned the classics were the creeps at the Edmonton Public School Board with their 200-book spite purge. The province's clarification put those books back where they belong. I hope this helps. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. The amount of misinformation swirling around the graphic materials ban in Alberta schools has been illuminating to me, and in a bad way. because there are a lot more perverts in our education system than even I thought. And it's frightening. To send a message to those in the education system making decisions about materials in the classroom, sign our petition at stopclassroomgrooming.com.